Hello, my name is Sam Carrier and I'm Director of Communications for General Synod. Welcome to a new installment of Conversations with the Primate. We are doing things a little bit differently this time in that Archbishop Hutchison is in conversation with me as well as with you. As always though, we urge you to send your comments and questions to the Primate at an address that we will show you at the end of this segment. Archbishop Hutchison, you recently chaired a meeting of the House of Bishops that was particularly remarkable for a number of reasons. I wonder if you would talk about that and tell us what made this meeting different.
Well, remarkable in all kinds of ways. First of all, it's the final meeting of the House of Bishops for this triennium and the last meeting of the House over which I will preside. So that makes it significant for me. Second, the Archbishop of Canterbury was with us. We've had a long-standing invitation to him to come and lead a retreat with the bishops, and that's what he did, and he was just remarkable, and it was a wonderful and refreshing start for our meeting. During the meeting, we welcomed for the first time the new National Indigenous Anglican Bishop, and during the meeting, we nominated 4 candidates to be my successor, and that too is an interesting process, and those names have now been sent out to the church for consideration. And quite importantly, we considered what might be happening at the General Synod, and the bishops decided to be proactive, to give a real bit of leadership to the church, and to design a pastoral response to whatever the decisions made by General Synod might be around the issue of homosexuality. So from all of those points of view, a very significant meeting and a wonderful coming together of the bishops. And I think several of those items I've mentioned contributed to that, but it really was delightful. And of course, the crowning moment for me and for Lois was that they put on a wonderful dinner one night during the house and invited Lois to that as well, and presented us with the fulfillment of one of our life dreams, namely the chance to go on an Alaskan cruise. So, memorable House of Bishops meeting, you bet.
This, as you say, was your last meeting of the House as after 3 years as chair and 17 years as a member of the House?
That's correct.
A month or so ago, you chaired your last meeting of the Council of General Synod.
Yes, I did.
There must be some emotional moments in these final meetings for you.
No question about that, and that usually takes me by surprise, and it certainly did here. That's a long time to have some pretty close relationships with fellow bishops. And there's no question I'll miss the company.
It's been a long time.
It's been a very long time.
At the outset of your primacy, I know that you saw some work of reconciliation to be done in the House of Bishops. Could you give an assessment of how that's gone?
Sure. I think, first of all, I'm committed to the view that it's the House of Bishops that leads the church in this respect. I believe it's the House of Bishops that set the tone for the life of the church across the country. So if the house is in trouble, if there's conflict and acrimony within the life of the house, this will have a negative effect throughout the church. On the other hand, if there's a coming together, it'll have a very positive effect. And I've seen that happen during this triennium. There's been a wonderful coming together in that we still have the courage to disagree with one another, but we do that with respect, and we do that as friends and colleagues who enjoy one another's company. And I'm convinced that has had a positive effect out there in the church. We're plagued in our generation, not only in the church, but in the world, in politics and economics and social affairs. We're plagued with a real tendency towards polarization. And within all of that, I think the Anglican Church has a real vocation to be the via media and to teach people of very opposite views how to listen to each other and respect each other And I think our House of Bishops has made a commendable contribution to that.
Archbishop, I can think of two events that remain for you in your primacy. One is a return to Cuba. This will be your second trip this year, and it's for a very special purpose, I understand. Do you want to tell us about that?
For a very special purpose. The Anglican Church of Canada has a particular relationship to Cuba, along with the presiding bishop of the United States and the primate of the West Indies. We form a metropolitan council that oversees the life of the church in Cuba. The Canadian primate is president of that council, and in February, the Synod and its bishop asked us to appoint 2 new suffragan bishops, which we did. One of whom is the first woman bishop in the whole region. So in June we'll be going back for the consecration of those 2 bishops, and very much looking forward to that. It's an historic moment and a wonderful way in which to end my formal relationship with them.
And the U.S. presiding bishop will be accompanying you.
She will be there with me, yes. Yes.
Now, shortly after this trip, you will preside at the meeting of General Synod. I wonder if you could share with us what your best hopes are for accomplishments to come out of this General Synod.
Well, my best hope, I suppose, is that what I was saying about the House of Bishops really is true and has that effect on the life of the Synod itself. We're dealing with a very difficult issue around same-sex relationships and how to respond to that. We live in a country that now takes this as a matter of course, and same-sex marriage is available throughout the land, and even marriage has been redefined by the Canadian Parliament. So it's a very difficult issue within the life of the Church that has a long-standing tradition that does not include acknowledgement of or blessing of same-gender relationships. As you know, we've been wrestling with this question for some of us up to 30 years within Canada. And there are now some motions coming before the Synod that are very, very clear in terms of being for or against. So that question of polarization is there, and my hope is that the Synod will deal with this respectfully and gracefully, and whatever the outcome, hold together and continue to work on this issue, whatever the decisions are at Synod. I cannot believe that this is an issue that will be resolved for all time by this Synod. I think for another 30 or 40 years, you'll find people in our church still struggling with this.
Archbishop, thank you very much. As always, we welcome your questions and comments. Please write to andrew@national.anglican.ca.